guy got us pinned down! Come on, we need this thing up and running today!
I'm trying!
Your GCM must be stuck!
They're closing in!
There! I'm stuck!
What's up everyone, Darcblade here bringing you a video review for Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Produced by Activision and developed by Treyarch, can Call of Duty Black Ops 2 bring anything new to the already robust Call of Duty franchise? Black Ops 2 is a first-person shooter game, or FPS, and it's going to take a lot to set it apart from the other games in the Call of Duty series. Now, Black Ops 2 can pretty much be divided into three gameplay types. Firstly, you have the campaign mode, which is your story mode. Then you have the multiplayer mode, which has made Call of Duty what it is today. And lastly, you have the zombies mode, which is present in every game that Treyarch have developed for the Call of Duty franchise. Now, the campaign mode is set in two time eras, the first being the 1980s and the second being set in the future in 2025. Like all of the other Call of Duty games, you'll be jumping between various characters to tell a story. But for the majority of the time, when you're playing in the 80s, you'll be playing as the star of Black Ops 1, which is Alex Mason. And when you're playing in the future, in 2025, you'll be playing as his son, David Mason. You will occasionally jump into the shoes of a supporting character, but this is normally only for one mission, and this is really only to help move the story along. Anyway, the story is basically what we've come to expect of Call of Duty games. It normally revolves around nations threatened by war with each other, and teams of military operatives going in to find out who is behind the tensions and if it can be stopped. Now, the main antagonist, and which the story really revolves around, is a guy called Raul Mendez. He has a big hatred towards the modern society, and holds a lot of grudges due to the death of his sister. This has, of course, led to him pissing off a lot of other people, the CIA included, and this is where Alex Mason comes into the story. As Alex, you start off trying to find your friend Woods, who I actually thought was dead at the end of Black Ops 1, but apparently he's back. He managed to survive the explosion. Anyway, whilst playing as Alex, you spend most of the time when you're back in the 80s trying to track down and stop Menendez. Now, the missions set in the 80s are kind of told in flashback. Basically, Woods is telling David Mason, Alex's son, about the things they used to get up to in their Black Ops missions. This has relevance because David is still trying to find out what happened to his father, but more importantly, he's trying to gather information on Raul Mendez, who is still a threat to global security. Now, as David in the future, you will follow up various leads with your team in order to track down and stop Menendez once and for all. Black Ops 2 is very short in terms of story, but it does feel like an action film. Whether the game warrants multiple playthroughs is down to each person who actually plays it, but there are numerous paths you can take, and the outcome of the game is supposed to be different depending on which route you take or if you do certain actions or not. This is kind of new for the Call of Duty series, and I hope they maybe implement and enhance on this in the future. Now, for me personally, the story of Black Ops 2 was maybe not as good as Black Ops 1, but saying that, there were some nice twists in Black Ops 2, as well as some big epic set pieces. So that being said, whilst maybe not as good as Black Ops 1 in terms of story, it is still a good story and I thoroughly was entertained by it. Now, the gameplay in Black Ops 2 is very similar to all the other Call of Duty games out there. Not much has changed in terms of the first-person shooting mechanics. Of course, they have built upon and expanded the gameplay structure by adding new elements, for example adding new guns, new gear, drones, etc. This is especially noticeable in the 2025 setting. Because it is the future, Treyarch can let their imaginations run a little bit wild and guess what new technologies might be available to us in the near future. Now, Treyarch have taken a gamble and added a new gameplay aspect that has not been seen in any other Call of Duty before, and that is the Strike Force missions. These combine first-person shooting with a real-time strategy. Whilst doing a main mission, you'll have an option to switch from the main mission to do a Strike Force mission. These are kind of like side missions to the overall main story arc. Anyway, when you start a Strike Force mission, you will be chucked into various battlefields around the world, and you will have the option to either control the foot soldiers first person, or you will be able to control them from orbit, thus making it seem like a real-time strategy mode as you command your troops around the battlefield. This mode does have a little bit of a learning curve, especially if you want to command all of your troops via the real-time strategy perspective. I do commend Treyarch a little bit for trying to implement this into their game. Whilst it may not be the easiest mode, it is something new. And that's what the Call of Duty franchise needs, because the Call of Duty games come out year after year and they start to become stale without new elements. Anyway, failure or success in the Strike Force missions means it will affect the overall outcome of your story mode. So it's well worth doing Strike Force missions. Now, multiplayer returns with Black Ops 2. It is pretty much similar to all the other multiplayer experiences you have had with the previous Call of Duty games. The multiplayer is very accessible, so basically anyone can pick up a controller and start enjoying themselves. Treyarch have tried to expand on the multiplayer experience too, by adding new elements to the game. Like with the campaign, they haven't really changed the overall structure of the multiplayer, but they just enhanced it, added new things and basically just fiddled around with the existing structure. There are numerous gameplay modes, so everyone is bound to find a gameplay mode they enjoy with Black Ops 2's multiplayer. All the weaponry and tech seems to be based on the 2025 aspect of Black Ops 2's story, so it's more futuristic weapons rather than weapons you would have found in the Cold Wars. Now, the weapons overall in the Black Ops 2 multiplayer do seem a little bit, well, overpowered. Basically, they're either overpowered or you don't have a lot of health because you die very quickly. Also, the weapons seem to lack a lot of recoil, especially the assault rifles. You rarely have to adjust your aim because there's too much recoil when using them. Now, Treyarch have changed the way you create a class in Black Ops 2's multiplayer. Instead of just picking bits and bobs for your character and creating your class, you now have a set amount of points. You have 10 points, and basically each part of your custom character adds a point. This allows for great customization of your character, as you're able to customize them to however you want. No longer do you have to take 3 perks, you can take 1 perk, you can take 6 perks, depending on how you spend your points. The wildcards that are added to the creator class means you will get some very interesting loadouts. Kill streaks are no longer available, as well as strike packages. You instead now have just score streaks. These basically work like kill streaks, but with score points. So for example, if you earn points from capturing a flag, plus a kill here, kill there, then you get an assist, eventually these will add up to a new score streak reward. Of course, when you do die, these all reset, so they still feel a little bit like kill streaks. Now, unlike Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2's score streak rewards can lead to new ones. So, potentially, if you put up a score streak reward that can get a lot of kills or points, then it can lead you to your next one without you having to actually do anything. Originally, I was a little bit put off by this, but to be honest, the amount of points you need for the score streaks, especially the higher ones, is quite a lot, so it's not too bad, as they are not that easy to earn. The maps in Black Ops 2's multiplayer all seem to be of a medium size, if not even smaller. There are no large maps anymore. There is no more maps like Array from Black Ops 1. They all seem to be focused on medium to close range combat, with very few areas you can actually have long range sniping in. Overall, the multiplayer for me felt more like Black Ops than it did the Modern Warfare franchise, although the difference is very, very subtle. There isn't much of a difference between the Modern Warfare multiplayer and Black Ops multiplayer. It is just the way the developers actually make their game, and I tend to favour the way Treyarch make their games. So, Black Ops 2's multiplayer is slightly more appealing to me than Modern Warfare 3's was. Anyway, it is early days yet. The multiplayer will probably jade on me over time, but we will see. Anyway, the third gameplay mode for Black Ops 2 is Zombies. Zombies mode is available in all of Treyarch's Call of Duty games, and it is very familiar in Black Ops 2. The actual gameplay mechanics may not have changed much, but the gameplay modes have received a little bit of an overhaul. Of course, you have survival mode, which is the basic zombie mode, where you and a group of friends, or on your own if you want to, have to survive against wave and wave of zombies. They have added a mode called transit, which is like survival mode, so you and a group of friends have to fight off wave and wave of zombies, whilst at the same time you are exploring a map, trying to find out clues about what the hell is going on. And lastly, there's grief mode, where you have to fend for yourself against other players and zombies. You can, team up with other players, but it is a very uneasy alliance, as you have to be careful because they could turn around and just shoot you in the back. Now, the new setting, the new gameplay modes and that make zombies feel a little bit fresher, and it has been a 2-year gap since we last had Call of Duty Zombies, so in some respect it's good to have the zombies mode back. Overall, Zombies mode is all about who you actually play with, rather than the gameplay mechanics itself, in my opinion. If you can find a nice group of friends to play with and have a laugh, then Zombies mode is absolutely great fun. But if you're playing public matches or on your own, then it's not the best, in my opinion anyway. The whole graphical appearance of Black Ops 2 is starting to get a little bit dated, although I have noticed that the facial animations seem to be a little bit better in Black Ops 2 than other Call of Duty games. The voice acting is still quite good, characters make you care about them thanks to the performances they put in, so I can commend them for that. And lastly, the music and sound effects all try to create an atmosphere that tries to immerse you into the game. Now, with the Call of Duty series, I am a bit jaded. I only said I was actually going to continue to buy the franchise if they continued the Black Ops series, because for me, Black Ops was my favourite Call of Duty. So when Black Ops 2 was announced, I made plans to pick it up. And I'm pleased to say I actually did enjoy myself. As long as you can get into all three aspects of the game, you know, the campaign, multiplayer and zombies, then you're going to spend a lot of time with Call of Duty Black Ops 2 and it will be well worth your money. If, however, you can only get into one or two of the modes, then it might be worth a rent. If you can only get into the campaign, for example, you're not going to spend a lot of hours playing it because it is a short story. Anyway, I've been Darcblade and I hope you enjoyed my video review for Call of Duty Black Ops 2.